Jaya Jagadisha Hare Swami Jaya Jagadisha Hare Bhakta Jano Ke Sanghata Bhakta Jano Ke Sanghata Shaname Guru Hare Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Swami Jaya Jagadisha Hare Bhakta Jano Ke Sanghata Bhakta Jano Ke Sanghata Shaname Guru Hare Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Hare Hare Swami Durga Dina Se Manaka Sundar Salam Padri Karare Sundar Salam Padri Karare Ashwami Devananta Om Jaya Jagadisha Mata Pita Tumare Sharana Garume Kisaki Swami Sharana Garume Kisaki Kumavina Orana Puja Kumavina Orana Puja Garume Kisaki Om Jaya Jagadisha Kumapurana Haranatma Kumaran Harayami Swami Kumaran Harayami Parabrahmakaram Keswara Parabrahmakaram Keswara Kumasaram Keswara Om Jaya Jagadisha karuna ke sagar Tuma parana karta Swami Tuma parana karta Swami Savakere Dana Bhakti Swami Mahatma Swami Sava Kuche Tera Kuche Koran Tera Kuche Koran Jala Om Jaya Jagati Savare Swami Jaya Jagati Savare Saviryam Karvavadne Tejasvinavadinamastu Mahideshavadne Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saviryam Karvavadne Tejasvinavadinamastu Mahideshavadne Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saviryam Karvavadne Tejasvinavadinamastu Mahideshavadne Om Shanti 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 Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Welcome. And welcome to all of you watching online as well. Very good, very good.
Yeah, yesterday mind went into free fall and I couldn't find a reference point. And then I found a reference point, and it was the death of my soulmate. on Shivaratri last year. And we had this, I realize now when before you took me through this thing of where is the joy in the room? Are you the joy? Are you the space behind? And that triggered something, and it's triggered the free fall. And then it stopped at the death of my soulmate. We had the perfect love as two people. We were one for 18 years. And I realized that the joy, all the joy that I was hanging on to, identified with, came from those 18 years with him where we lived. People said we were like angels, that we shone light on everyone, and I was holding on to that. And that was my bliss, that was my joy. And I've just been on 2 silent retreats with Bhagwan from Kerala, who teaches the Upanishads, Isha Upanishad. And he said that within me I had a strong bliss deva, like almost like an identified separate entity. And I understand now what he meant. It wasn't the true joy. It wasn't the true bliss of oneness. It was a fragment I was holding on to. So that was dropping all of last night. And you're such a smiling axeman. It's like there's yeah. The only reason I can take the chop is
The
from
smiling.
yes. And this morning, Drishti said, "Yes, you're in the tiger's mouth," and as Muji said, not in the chihuahua's mouth.
Yeah.
So yeah, and now in this moment, there is heat. There is a deeper layer, and it is there's the heat. If I let it go somewhere, it becomes rage, and if I just keep it as heat, it just keeps as heat. And I'm just asking that you hold my hand through that also.
So as you hold my hand,
Yeah.
let it go. Let everything go. Even if it comes out as rage, I'm here for this. It's okay. It doesn't have to. Let's not even presume anything about it. Let all things be as they are. Let them unfold if they have to. Let them come up in whatever way they have to. Don't try to control anything at all.
It's like my right foot wants to lift off the ground and kind of
Okay, let it be.
kick out at the,
Yeah,
at the world. It's not pretty.
it's okay. Let it be ugly if it has to. You're not pushing anything aside. Just allowing it to move as it likes.
It's really strong. It's also almost like it has a life of its own.
Yes.
It's like a sense of a deva,
Yes.
like a mind fragment, a strong one.
And it's okay because all life is derived from you. So nothing truly is in opposition to you. In your light, it exists. If your light was not there, it would not be. Nothing can hurt you in reality. You're the light of the projector, which is projecting all these fragments of the movie. But the light of the projector itself is never hurt. So allow them to come, whatever has to come. Yes, yes, yes. No, no guilt needed. So it's going to be the right one. Okay. No, it's okay. It can. It can. I'm happy to take a few kicks for your freedom. Also, you'll notice that many times the fear of the arising of something is much worse than the actual arising of it, isn't it? Keep, keep, yeah, yeah, yeah. How it came out. Yeah. Once, many years ago, in satsang like this, somebody came to Guruji and she said, "My head is just going to explode. I just feel like my head is exploding and I'm so scared my head is going to explode." Some of you seen that? So he says, "I'd like to see a head exploding, never seen it."
I don't think you'd want to see me kicking.
That's exactly what she said. That's exactly what she said. I don't think you'd like to see it. He said, "I'd love to see it." And then what happened is that took nothing. It was not as explosive as it was seeming before it came out. You see, as we in our allowing, we see that nothing is really that bad. Because in our allowing, we are in this neutrality of our true position, which is untouched no matter what comes.
Wow, it's just now it's just my hand just off. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But,
You don't know. It can.
I think I better go and sit down.
No,
It's as much as I can.
let your hand go wherever it wants. I've had a few uppercuts in my life.
It's also the fear to expose it that you would hate me for, and everybody would hate me for like, wow, she wants to take a swing at it. And I don't. The me does not. It's just this energy that.
Yeah, I know
But
this.
it isn't. It's never going to happen. It's just.
I'm familiar with this energy.
Familiar.
There have been many times where people have wanted to throw things at me. At the one time, there was table in front of me. I would have satsang there. We would put the computer, and it was mostly online. But the few people, there were few things lying on the table, and I heard this more than once that they wanted to pick it up and just throw it at me, just like. So I know this. It can play in this way. The resistance to what is being shared from here, and I know it's not personal at all. So don't have to worry at all.
It's not because you're awesome. I think I'm going to go
Look
sit
at her.
down
She's
now.
trying to control her hand. Still, she's trying.
I better go sit down.
No.
It's such a childhood rage of my body father. I know where it comes from. I'll say the word. This is the principle of this radio.
I can understand this.
It's like you're taking all the rage that I have against you. It's just.
I'm happy to take it.
going to give you a bunch of flowers. It's just still a finger in my head of a bunch of just there's a bunch of flowers in my head.
Yes.
I had to play that. Still a bit in the right leg.
It's okay.
Comfortable.
Yeah, you wanted to throw things at me sometimes? No? She was mostly there in the opposite side of the table. You didn't never wanted to throw anything at me? You don't know what I'm saying. This one has wanted to throw quite a few things at me. You have to speak.
I don't even know why I'm here actually, but there was like this report that wanted to come about what's been happening, but I don't know.
So if you forget about the report, what is here now?
A lot.
Right. Which is?
Of stuff, but
Right.
Just a lot of appearances, really, Father. Just
appearances.
Yeah, just I feel like that's becoming more obvious. They're just appearances, and
the biggest one that was like the attention went to and the is actually like losing control, like the thoughts. That was the biggest, like, it wasn't body identity, it was the thoughts. But, you know, like this wanting to report has been since yesterday. I don't even know if it's important actually, the report.
So suppose we had to lose control.
Mm.
What would we do?
I don't know, nothing really. Anything, anything and nothing.
Because it can become a big fear that what if I lose control? But let's really explore what control we really have. What is the tool that we are using to control? Right?
There is no
The one thing that we do try to do is control our attention.
Mm.
Yeah? It should only go to this, it should only go to this, it should only go to that.
Mm.
So if you let go of that, what is left? Just try this, all of you. Notice how there's this tendency to try and grasp at things. Just leave it be. It can go wherever it wants.
It mostly tends to go to thinking, but that's not a
Let
problem.
it go to thinking.
It's not really a problem for.
Let it go to thinking.
Mm.
Nothing can happen wherever it goes.
Mm.
It can go.
This was the question, I think, or the report or something of wanting to check if, but I don't even feel like I really have to because I feel enough trust in what, you know, is arising here to just, you know, like there's this thing of like huge thing of just, it's like the control is dropping altogether. Like there's not fear. Like I was so scared of even sitting with you for like the last 4 years, like, and even looking at you, it just feels like there's no control actually at all. And that's what I wanted to check, I think. But even that, it's like I don't feel like I have to check. It was like this is making up a story that I need to check this. Even that felt a bit like that. Because yeah, I just feel like it's just, you know, like I just want to be here at your feet. I don't have any questions left, like I said, or yeah. I think I just wanted to come up here and say hi.
Hello.
Like you say.
Hello, my dear.
Yeah.
This, I feel like many times we play this game with a lot of, constraint because we feel like we have to, this spiritual journey is about trying to control our attention. But I'm not even talking about that. Just leave it.
Well, I think it's because there's also something that happened was like, you know, I said to you, I think a few times, like the person who wanted it so much, like was so serious and started losing interest, you know, like I was missing satsangs and then all this outside things started happening, like work coming and people coming and stuff like that. And I realized like this is such a fraud, like this, and it was the one that was the most little, kind of the last thing left. It was just like the most serious. It's just like it's completely lost interest now, and you know. So that was so obvious. Like, what the hell? You can't even rely on this. So something there just collapsed. Like, yeah, it was like I don't know what happened, but yeah. And there was a fear like I was going to lose, like move away because everything was coming you know, like I'd be sitting there half an hour, or no, like half an hour after Satsang finished going, I missed Satsang. What the hell? So there was this fear like, you know, that it was going to move away, but even that dropped away. Because I'm here, like,
Exactly.
it's like, I don't even know how to, you know, it wasn't
meeting, somebody for lunch the other day, and they were saying, the family, they were saying that we decided after first visit to India, we decided never to come back. And within 10 months, you've been speaking in silence.
No, that was no.
So within 10 months, here we are again.
Mm.
So we can have all these ideas and plans about what life should bring and things like that.
Yeah.
If you just leave it free, even if you don't, if you feel like you are trying to control it, it's going to do what it wants anyway.
Yeah. There's so many things.
So it is only a change of perspective which is happening. Where we've considered ourselves to be an object within this life, and then we start to see that I am this life itself. And then we start to see that I am that which is even aware of this entirety of life and yet remain untouched by it.
Yeah. That hasn't quite gelled yet. But
That's okay.
no, that's okay. I'm like, it's like I don't get. But there's a huge, like, just a letting of anything. You know, like even the things that, like, you know, trying not to think or trying not to believe or trying, you know, just all this trying.
Yesterday, to someone I said, what do you have to do to sit exactly where you are now?
Nothing.
So what do you have to do to be what you have always been?
Nothing.
Can you do something to not be that?
No. Yeah, it's just this momentum, isn't it, that slows down. It feels like that. The momentum is just...
It's only because we believe that we are a cat and we want to become the enlightened cat. You can feel like I have these things to do. Because there were other cats out there who did these things and they became enlightened. But the enlightened one is not saying that.
No.
One is saying that you've always been this. There is no cat.
Yeah.
I feel it's a very good contemplation because many of us have got stuck in this sort of idea of trying, wanting to get there. So just contemplate this. If you don't have to move an inch to sit exactly where you are right now, what would you have to move to be the self? And even if movement happens, could you leave the self? Even if you move while sitting, you are sitting exactly where you are sitting, isn't it? If you don't have a position which seems like the final position, then every position is it. They say, isn't it? Wherever you might go, you will find yourself. You cannot lose it. Because even to lose it, you have to be there.
I mostly don't understand what you're saying, Father, but it goes in. Like, because the habit to try and
like I'm sharing something very simple.
No, but I mean the habit
Okay,
to try.
where did I lose you?
No,
To sit where you're sitting, that was clear.
yeah, it's not that, Father.
That
It's
is enough.
just, yeah, I'm trying to pick it up, and that takes me away. It goes in, but without this. Yeah, this one keeps trying to.
The trying one is not getting it,
No.
which is fine by me.
Yeah, 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 and that one tries to answer sometimes. And it's like, you know, what? Yeah. Thank you, Father.
What do you want? Hands, feet, hug. The self is your natural state. It's not a state actually, we can use that term. It is naturally what you are. Now, how many steps you have to walk to get to it? And even if you walk a few steps, can you lose it? Beautiful. That's the beautiful thing about this. Wherever you may wander, you are home. But you have given to yourself this power to pretend as if you are not. That's all. Isn't it? How many feel that the separation actually has happened and I need to put it back together again? I was joking, maybe he was a child the other day and said, all the king's men and all the king's horses could not put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So if the self was broken, nobody can do it. If it is divided, nothing can put it together. You have continued to be the undivided self. No separation has actually ever happened. You're just playing this game of pretense, delusion, and recognition. That is why this is the Leela, the play of consciousness itself. It is not even that actually, but it is my favorite explanation to give you because it is unexplainable. In reality, there is no answer to why, remember? Why does this happen? My favorite answer is consciousness, is it? Or the Leela of consciousness. So, what trying still remains? We were talking maybe last night, we were speaking, some of us. He said, but some contraction appears or some fear comes. You see? So I said, what tools you have to pluck out that fear? The appearance of the fear is there. Attention goes to this fear, and the fear becomes apparent. You see? Then the interpreter will come with a notion about this fear and say, this should go. And you can give your assent to this notion, and you can take that position that I don't want this fear to be. But to pluck the fear out, what is the tool that you have? Nothing. Just the noticing of it is enough actually. Just the attention going to it was enough. We don't have to take a position with regards to it. And in this play of this world, it seems like the position that we take seems to amplify it actually. The resistive position that we take seems to amplify it. Resistance to, when we pick up the notion that it should not be, let's call that resistance. You see? And in that notional position, in the play, it seems like it is designed that which was just with our attention, now along with that notion, it seems to be bigger. See? It doesn't really become bigger, but seems to be bigger. See? No, we're talking about the fear that was arising or some sensation which was arising. Yes. If it feels natural, yes. 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 So that is coming from a positional place. But what I'm saying is, leave your attention to do exactly what it wants. See how that turns out. You see? Because actually, this trying to move attention, although we can talk about it and we do, but actually even that is notional, because the one that moves attention is not the identity. What does attention report back to? It's our own self. So just when I say open, this is what I mean actually. Let your attention go wherever it has to go. You have to take the mic, otherwise I'll get shouted at, you know that. Or you can come here.
Can
Close.
you look with me this? When you asked Shivani, what what can you control?
Yes.
So so like it felt like I can control my attention.
If you let go of that sense of control,
But it led me to the sense that there was, you know, then I wanted to control my thoughts. Then it went to controlling the thoughts because you want to control
so
the.
let's look at this attention thing
Yeah.
properly. So it's a great opportunity to go to what Bhagwan was saying. Either surrender or inquire. Surrender means let it be. Wherever it wants to go, it can go. Inquire means whose attention reporting to, or whose attention is this? Who is controlling attention? Either way, you will come to that let go state.
So, so can we inquire?
Letting go doesn't seem easier.
No, it is. It doesn't seem easier because it feels like you let it go, but you seem to pick it up. I mean, I'm talking about myself. It just seems that it gets picked up again and again.
Okay, so let's, and that's also fine actually, because letting go means it can go wherever it wants. But if you want to look at it, it's a beautiful contemplation to see where attention comes back to, or where does attention come from. Because here in this contemplation, even all qualitative distinctions in the self, they dissolve. You will not be able to say attention reports back to the dynamic aspect of the self, which is consciousness, or that which is the non-phenomenal self. You see this, it reports back to the one self, empty of any distinction. Tell me if this resonates with what you are seeing.
But I'm still seeing what you made me, when I'm still just seeing that, and I'm so confused now because it was reporting back. I mean, to an I, which was just still this.
So what happened to it? Attention was reporting to an I which was still, and now the I is what?
I don't know who that I is.
So I doesn't know who the I is. Which is more real? The I which is the still one, or the I that doesn't know? Which one is actually here? Show me that one that is confused by it. Show me the confused I. Confused I, hazir ho.
There are no two eyes.
Present the confused I. Then you're saying one still I got.
That's the confusion.
Yeah. The confusion is there, but whose is it?
It's the one who's trying to find the.
What did I say yesterday? I said all confusion is about a mistaken identity. I am confused. In that statement, what is the mistaken identity?
It's that I'm something.
Yeah. Where is that something? I would completely respect it if it had even a tangible existence, even phenomenally. Show me this something I.
Other than a feeling, it's not there.
And the feeling cannot be I, no? Feeling is just a feeling.
Yeah.
It's just a sensation. Are you a sensation?
Mm.
That's why I said the other day, how long will consciousness point to a sensation and call it I? That is the play of consciousness. It can taste the sensation, it can find joy in the experience of that sensation. But because the sensation is present, does it become the entirety of you, or at best a small aspect of you?
No, I know. I mean, some.
Okay, right now, there is no confusion. Okay, you know this very well. Because for confusion, you need two conflicting notions, and all notions are gone. Now, Miss Consciousness, how would you like to play next? So, slow it down, really slow it down. So, when it feels you're saying there is a feeling,
Feels like there are two there.
there is a feeling of two.
One who just knows. I mean, there's the one who wants to find, and another one who wants to surrender, and it's
Show me
a lot of
the.
noise.
Are they tangible entities, or just are they just ideas?
I notice now that I'm trying to find this self either in a tangible way.
Yes. And Bhagavan said what? The trouble with self-inquiry for many of you is that you're trying to look for something when you ask the question, who am I? I've often said the best way to self-inquiry is ask the question, who am I? And then leave it unmolested with your answers. You keep harassing it with your answers, and then it feels like it becomes confusing. The questioning itself is enough because the inquiry happens, the question directs in this play, directs the looking in that way on its own. You don't have to answer. This is not classroom. But because our habit has become to find the best answer and therefore get 10 on 10, we feel like we are doing well when we have the right answer. The self will not be an answer. In fact, you will come to this beautiful ineloquence. You say, but this is a game. What do you mean? Tell me what I found. Nobody can tell you. And all these pointers also will seem hollow. The words consciousness, awareness, self will mean nothing. When you see what you are, then all these milestones, pointers become irrelevant. Yes, but don't carry a limited eye on your backpack as you're making this journey. You see, because if it's still whispering in your ear, what is that Indian story? Bikram and Betal, no? Yeah, so yeah, this and this one is still. This is what I'm finding now. You see, what you're finding is what you've always been. Yes. Okay. Sometimes the hand is raised and I say, please come, and something I can see is like going, oh no. I have to come.
This is for the attention, but isn't it like for my truest place, attention? I amness is just my attention, you know, and then that
I amness is just your attention.
it's like at the moment I am, then this uh, phenomenal
Can we say that attention does not leave the I am like that? Is that what you're talking about?
means I feel like I amness appears, uh, then there is the appearance of contained
Yes.
and feeling sensation of body,
Yes.
and this feel intimate, and there is a story,
Yes.
this
Yes.
trying to evolve
Yes.
and trying to understand,
Yes.
but that also an appearance like
Yes.
outside appearance. So if you go into that story with this body mind and trying to understand,
Yes.
then that that uh, dimension of knowing and this is relevant. But if my uh, like yesterday night I slept, today morning I wake up, then there is a new
Yes.
visual appears, and then there is an appearance of belief, knowing, not knowing, understanding, frustration, but that all an appearance for bigger appearance, which is I amness. And that I amness also is just kind of it open up, and it's
Yes.
for me
Yes.
what I am.
Yes.
So and I don't know.
Nothing
So
else to know beyond this. For one who can say that even I am is like an opening up of a lens and a closing of a lens. When the lens opens, it can seem like this entire world is here within its own space. You see? And lens closes, it seems like even The entire play dissolves, including itself.
It's like there was a like uh, not wanted to come up because then it like it's it's a it's a tendency I had noticed like in a separate that you're separate, you feel identified with body mind to dissolve understanding, it takes it to its own and try to instead of clear seeing it, try to look from that reference point and that
Now,
try,
let's go back to what you said. So, when the I am is here,
yeah.
this entire world appearance comes to play.
Yeah.
You see? You have nothing to do with that play. You see? Now, this is what I call level confusion. I see that I am beyond even I am. And that now, that's why I didn't want to come up. So, you're talking about two different I's in the same sentence, isn't it? When we take our insight and apply it back to an individual seeming body mind, that's when we do what we are trying to, what I jokingly say, we find the ocean and then we try to fill it back into the coconut. You see? What you're discovering is your limitless self, but then you're trying to associate that with your body somehow. What does this mean for the body? Nothing. You already said the body, mind, the entire world is just appearing and disappearing.
It's just a kind of uh, nothing.
Yes. Even that is a part of the play itself. You see? But there are some alarm clocks in the play. You say, ting ting. And it's a common aspect of our so-called spiritual journey that all of you have had true insights about yourself, but then you're still trying to correlate back to what it means for your emotions or your sensations or your body. But you already found that this, all of this, is movements on the surface of your existence. The greater part of you is untouched by any of this, and therefore you can just let it be. What does the insight you've had about yourself have to do with this structure of flesh and blood? What does it have to do with? Can this one own that? Some blood and flesh and bones. Can this one own that? No. This is how yoga was invented.
That's why I don't want it to come.
Do you have to take the mic?
It seems that after your grace has come into this life, the accelerator has been pushed. And I'm just speeding. There's something is speeding. And many things have been dropped. They're being dropped and they're being noticed also.
And there was this one fear. I've always been a person who prefers to be in the background, and there was a fear of being in such a big crowd and to sit in front of you and to talk. So last night I just expressed this to Drishti, and she made me sit here. And she said, "You have to talk." So this is thanks to Drishti. I just wanted this fear to dissolve too. For the past few days, what is being noticed is that whatever is happening from here is happening by itself. There is listening is happening. Whatever doing has to happen is happening. There is no question of doership or non-doership. And that is also not important. It also feels that all this is being watched. I don't know from where it is being watched. And the names consciousness and self don't make any sense to me. It is beautiful.
Very good.
And that's all.
Very good. Yeah. These are just make-believe names for the nameless one.
I feel after a point, I feel that words lose their meaning.
Yes.
And there is no need for words.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's all.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Drishti.
Rishtima. So, to Ma Devaki, I said yesterday that this is the mini Ma in our satsang, in our sangha. She said she's my also Ma. At the end. Come.
I just feel some lump here. I don't know what is it. Sometimes I feel to shout, but that doesn't come out. I don't know.
Suppose you had nothing to do about it. If a feeling of some constriction is there, it's there. You noticed it, and that is more than enough.
Okay.
Nothing has to happen because of this. So, to take this metaphor even further, whatever is appearing in this body now has not even changed the position of your sitting. So, how could it have changed the position of the self?
Yeah. But what to do? I mean, noticing is there.
That's it. What other tools you have? So, lump is there, like I was joking yesterday. Do you have a shovel that you can take the lump out, like shovel it up?
No.
There is no such shovel. No?
But it doesn't dissolve by noticing?
So let's dig in deeper. All you can do is attention, which means noticing, and when the notion comes about it, to believe that notion, right? So one notion is it should dissolve or doesn't it dissolve?
But that's not expectation. I'm just observing.
Yes.
So paraphrasing again. So you say noticing is enough.
Yes.
How is that enough?
It is enough because what is just is. If you have no expectation of how this should turn out, then it is enough. If you have an expectation of how this should turn out, then it can seem like it is not enough.
Hmm.
You see? How you know that lump has to dissolve? Maybe it has to become bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger.
Hmm.
How you know it is a lump also? It is just an energetic appearance, isn't it?
Hmm.
Based on energetic differences, sometimes people say, oh, this is lump. Others, interpretation for them who are trying to do this kind of thing will say, oh, this is chakra. Some are celebrating chakra is coming. Some are upset lump is here. How you know what it is? It's just various ways of interpreting what is appearing, interpreting consciousness.
Hmm.
Don't have to. As you lose all distinctions, you will see all is just one self. And many times benchmarks get created because what's happening with others in satsang.
Yeah.
Every experience will be unique. I was saying yesterday that we've not heard of two sages who've had exactly the same journey to get to the self. Because if we had, then that would just become a template. You see, this is do this. Map out their life journey and say this is what you have to do to get to the self. But in imitation, we don't get it. Isn't it?
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter what is happening to others. If somebody is screaming, somebody shouting, not so bothered.
It was there for some time, so I wanted to. Okay, I had a question about the earlier statement that you made. Leave the attention as it is, or inquire. But for inquiry, also, you don't have to bring your attention to inquiry. So,
No, when I'm saying when we're using this aspect for our inquiry, then we're just asking whose attention is this, or who is attention reporting back to.
yeah, I mean, it's a qualitative faculty that I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who has? All faculties must belong to some.
That's me. I mean, the I, which it's me. I would say.
Yeah.
But
And
then,
this kind of inquiry is, if those of you get irritated very quickly when inquiry starts, even normal who am I inquiry, then don't take on this inquiry. Because it'll just become like very confusing and this attention reporting back to what attention. For those who are really of the temperament,
But I mean, it looked fascinate. I mean, I fascinate with the statement that you said. Let it be. But how do you let it be? It's like a childlike awareness that you want. I mean, that's what you meant. What do you mean by let it be?
Yes, very good. So stay as you are now. It doesn't mean the body has to stay as it is now. Stay as you are now. What can you do to change that?
Nothing.
Nothing. And yet we pretend as if we can by saying, I need something, I want to do something. We invent this limited notion of I. But even in this invention, nothing in reality changed.
Mm.
Okay? So when the master said, rest in awareness or stay as the self, most of us are misunderstanding it. Okay?
Mm.
It can seem like I have to stay in a particular state, my attention should not go here or there. But what they're actually meaning is, drop these masks, drop these pretenses, they are not you. Because you cannot leave the self. That's why most of the time I prefer to say, when somebody says, how can I abide as awareness? I say, leave it and show me first. I'll tell you how to get it back or get back to it. So rest as awareness or stay in awareness does not mean that you have to do a physical process of staying as it. You just have to remain unmasked. And even in the picking of the mask, nothing in reality changes. But the seeming affliction is identity. So the seeming solution is, don't pick up the mask. Is it?
I get it. Yeah.
Like I say, isn't it? All I'm saying is that you are the self. This can be the end of satsang unless you say but. So all of these long-winded every day, so many hours we spend, is just in reaction to that something which you attach to yourself. That something notion that you are something, a limited entity. Why? Because you asked for a solution for the suffering that comes along with that something. If that something was not bothersome, we would not need to be here. So in the design of the play, it can seem like consciousness plays as if it is getting bothered by this limited notion now and is looking for a solution for it. It wants to play that way, so it invents these so-called masters, you see, to come and to remind itself, you are consciousness, you are the self. It is never that you consciousness can truly forget what it was. That's why my favorite explanation is Leela.
And the last one.
Yeah. Last one for today, or
No, no. Yeah, that's many more. So the what happens to the I amness in the dream when you're dreaming? The amness still exist, or
I amness is the substratum for all phenomenal experiences, including dream.
I like your favorite analogy that you gave last time, that it's a sky and the clouds come and go, but sky stays.
Yeah.
So that's I amness. I mean, I keep.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly because I've used that in many different ways.
Yeah.
So that
So
was suitable for that time. But what I can say now is that the absolute, the complete unchanging is all there is. Within that comes the appearance of that changing, substratum of the changing, which is your dynamic existence, as Guruji would call it, which is your consciousness. In the light of this existence, the dynamic existence, all the play seems to happen, all phenomenal things, but within your own being. You see, you can never say you had the experience of something which was outside of you. You can say there was an experience of something outside this body, but when you investigate whether the body boundary actually is yours, you see that it is not. Even this voice is being heard where? Within you, isn't it?
And how awareness goes and comes back then? It should be there.
How is it? How or why is the
Um,
same thing, which is that.
no, but we had, just before me there was some discussion, right? So I was just pondering upon it.
Yes.
Awareness.
So there is just awareness.
Hmm.
You see?
Hmm.
Now, why it picks up its finger or how it happens is unexplainable. Although I might say my favorite explanation is Leela, or another favorite explanation could be that it wants to experience itself as something. You see? But you see that even that does not, both of them don't stand up to any sort of inquiry. Because to say that this one without qualities suddenly has a want, you see, wants to experience itself, you see, both don't apply.
No, my question was, so this awareness also is watched? Was my
Yes. You are aware you exist, no?
hang on? So, I mean, what kind of I amness we are talking about? I'm a
Can
little.
you stop being? Yes, this is very good you said this, because many times I am saying I am, you are saying I am, but both are talking about different things. So it's good to clarify this. So can you stop being? That
Answer
is.
is no.
Is it a remembered answer or did you try?
I think it's ingrained in my blood now. You know.
I have to change the questions up a little bit.
Let me check. No.
This is I. You are aware of it or no?
Without it, I cannot report. So yes, I am aware.
You need that inference to be aware of it? Or is your insight enough?
Yeah, insight enough.
See it. Insight means we have the direct tasting of it. So we don't need to rely on if, therefore, and else, these kind of inferences. Because we're not building a hypothesis which has to be logically concluded as truth. We are looking what is our direct experience right now. I am aware that I exist.
Hmm.
And if we give any credence to the past, you see, and we have one storehouse, seeming storehouse of repository of past experiences, then we also know that I also experienced something called sleep, where even this sense of existence was not there. Now, if you want to throw out the entirety of the past, then throw away all of this. You see?
Can you
But if you,
slow that down?
yes,
Yeah. So,
because what can happen is that when I say that there was a time where even I am did not exist, which was your sleep last night,
Hmm.
you say, but Father, that is just memory. So can we really rely on the memory? So I'm saying either we throw out memory completely and then throw out your grievances, your expectations, your ideas of freedom, everything. Or if you're going to rely on memory, also rely on it for this to show you that there was an experience where even this I am was not there. And then I woke up at 7 a.m. or whatever time, and suddenly, actually, first I am was there, then 7 a.m. was there. There's never been a time without you. There's never been space without you. This I am.
that's what we're talking about. That I.
Yes.
silly question. So there is nothing beyond this I am.
If we are saying that this I am also is coming and going,
Hmm.
then to see that coming and going, there still must be you, isn't it? If Guruji can call his book Before I Am, what is that referring to? That's why I am. Am is coming and going. I remains untouched. How to be aware of this? You see? So I ask you, give him the mic for a minute. Put it all the way up. Yeah. How to be aware of this? Are you aware now? Yes. See where this answer came from.
Awareness. No?
Yes. You are aware.
Yes.
Yes.
But I'm aware because I'm aware of that I am feeling.
Yes. You see? So let's say that the content of what you are aware of could keep changing. But we already know that I am aware of it. You see, it's like saying I am walking on Girivalam Road or Ramanatas Road. The road is changing, but the walking is walking. In the same way, the off keeps changing, but you already know that there is something aware. What is aware? You see, who taught us to be aware?
But in deep sleep,
Yes,
I'm not aware of nothing.
yes. If you were not aware in deep sleep, then deep sleep would just sound like a mythical notion to you. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying that, oh, there is a seventh heaven in which beautiful angels play on the harp. You see? So you are not aware of it. But is deep sleep like that? You see? So you are aware of it, but there is nothing there. You see? And that nothing is you.
So awareness is the self.
Awareness is the same. The states come and go. Waking state, sleep state, dream state, all these are coming and going.
So I am what I'm aware.
Not what you are aware, that awareness itself. What you are aware of is just an aspect of you itself. Your greater truth is the awareness itself. The off is a coming and going, which is your dynamic play.
Awareness always report.
Awareness always is aware.
Always
For
is
reporting,
Yeah.
it needs this dynamic infrastructure, you see.
Or even in deep sleep. No?
Yes.
In deep sleep, also report.
Not report. Is.
Sorry,
Is. I don't know what you mean by report exactly.
aware of.
But only of itself, no? Even in sleep state, when you say there is no phenomena, even the primordial vibration, I am, is not there. You see, so there is no off really except itself.
Hmm. I can report. I can report in deep sleep that there are only awareness. No?
Yes. After the waking state comes, and we rely on this repository of past experiences that is called memory, and we say there is that strange experience where nothing is, you see. And yet I remember this transition from this nothing to something, which is what we call waking up. It's a very beautiful inquiry which you're doing. It's very nice. You see that this I, the unchanging, the absolute, is independent of all the offs which can come and go. It is independent of the entire waking state itself. Therefore, it doesn't matter what appears in the waking state, including the sensations of the body. It is independent of dream state. It is independent of sleep state. And it is independent of any samadhi. It is the unchanging truth of what you are. And it is never forgotten itself. In the sleep state, there is no confusion because only you are. When this phenomenal realm wakes up and all this play of sensation starts, one of the sensations is that which we call the mind. The job of the mind is to divide, to make distinction. It says me and other, my body and the world, mind, emotions. All these are just conceptual notions actually at the end of the day. All there is one appearance, appearing, but awareness remained untouched, even though its dynamic aspect is playing in this way. You see? That which does not change, whether waking state comes or goes, that is your truest self. Why we say truest? Not that that which arises after that is untrue or something, but truest because it is that which is unchanging. Although everything else might come and go, it remains. And this is what you are finding. You see? Your dynamic aspect consciousness, I am, itself is discovering its own source. That is that moment of self-recognition. So far, I am has been looking at its own play with all of its objects, all these sensations, playing with dividing them, putting them back together again. Now, you're saying, who am I? I am is pointing back to its own source and discovering that you are truly no thing, but a full nothing from which all things come and go. And as this self-recognition continues to happen, it will just seem like the mind is talking about some other concept. It is not talking about you anymore because you are the unchanging. So as more and more we come to this self-recognition, we see that automatically this mind's voice is seen to not be your authentic representative, but only representing something you believed yourself to be. And as belief in this limited notion is dropping, it gives more and more space to go deeper in this recognition of the self. That is why it is a beautiful aspect of this plea to come out of delusion.
Thank you.
Yeah, whether awareness is self-aware in deep sleep and dream, as it is aware of itself in waking state.
It is completely self-aware, no matter what the state is.
Then why it is not knowing itself in deep sleep?
It knows itself completely. That's why you can even report that there is something called deep sleep.
Yeah.
You have to look at what you mean by knowing. You see? So let's look at knowing a little bit. Knowing can mean I know that the world is round. How do I know it? I have a concept of it. It has come from credible sources. So I say, this conceptual knowing, yes, okay, I agree with that. The second is a perceptual knowing. I have a perception of it, therefore I say it is right. I say Arunachala is right there because I have a perception of it. You see, this is perceptual knowing. Then you can have a sensational knowing. I can feel the experience of these sensations, which are beyond my five senses, beyond these perceptions, but they are still perceived through inner perception. So this sensational knowing is there. Now, all of this knowing is not the knowing that I'm talking about. When I say that it knows itself, you see, because when I ask you, are you aware now?
Yes.
Is it perceptual, sensational, or conceptual?
It is beyond that.
It's beyond that.
Yeah.
That is knowing, which I call knowing with the capital K. So knowingness, if it did not know itself, how will one aspect of it come to ever know itself?
I didn't get it.
Yes. Self-recognition would be completely impossible if the truth did not recognize itself. You see,
Yeah, that is happening in
if an
waking state.
if an as yes, agreed, but even that what is there in the waking state is just I know. It is not the birth of you. We say I am. When
Yeah.
waking state comes, it does not say you are. So the I is the same. So it is the same I which is coming to this recognition of its source, which is I am, seeing that I am just I am that. You see? So if its aspect can recognize the reality of it, would reality not know itself already? You see, the confusion
Yeah.
only comes when we mix it with a different type of knowing.
No, actually, what I'm telling
Yeah,
is because dream state we can infer,
yeah.
waking state we can infer. Even
How
though
would you infer a dream state?
when you wake up,
Yes. What is
so
the
we know
inference?
inference is it's a bundle of thought and thought made world.
Yes, but that is not the dream state. The dream state, what actually happens if you were to go with your memory at all, is that the existence, the sense I am appears, and there's a realm which appears in which all movements, activities, time and space, pain and pleasure, all are there.
Yes.
You see? So only when the realm changes and we come to this, we say, oh, that was dream state.
Yes.
You see? But Janaka said, no, I dreamt that I was a butterfly, but now I'm confused. Whether it is the butterfly which is dreaming it is Janaka, or Janaka had the dream that it is a butterfly. You see? So if you say dream state was bundle of thoughts, then you have to admit that this state is also bundle of thoughts.
Yes, I admit. No, what I'm telling is because awareness is self-aware in this state, in working state, and it can know that it is unlimited.
Awareness is unchanged no matter what the state is. So if it is self-aware in waking state, it is self-aware in all states. Otherwise, it would not be the unchanging.
Okay, now I know that I exist.
Yes.
In
But
deep,
that is not to be self-aware. When I know I, prior to even existence, that is self-aware. Where does I come from? Is that a knowing? I is the substratum, you see. When I know I exist, I am aware of my existence, my beingness. But for I to know I, would you say I is unaware of I?
Right now it is aware. In waking it is aware, but what about deep sleep? I am talking about deep sleep. It is not aware of itself.
If I was not aware of itself, then there would be no such thing as deep sleep state. Because you say that there was nothing there.
Yeah,
Is it? There was nothing there. Even my existence was not there. But who saw that existence was not there?
yeah,
You're following?
yeah.
I saw that even my sense of existence was not there. You see? So it saw that there was no thing. That is self awareness.
Can that be one inference also, like a dream?
It is not an inference, but what you can say is that do I have to rely on memory for that? And I say yes. You see? So if you want to be independent of relying on memory, then throw out everything that your memory contains, not just this. You see? Because the troublesome things we hold on to. Now, my wife fought with me, that is in memory, that I won't forget. This one did one bad thing to me, that is in memory, that I won't forget. You see? But that which is pointing us to the fact that I am there irrespective of even I am, that we say, maybe I'm just inferring it because of memory. So let's forget all that we are inferring because of memory. At least you'll be happy that way, no? No grievance, no resentment, no pride, no.
Yeah,
So,
makes
I,
sense.
yes. So either way, if you rely on memory, then rely on memory completely to show you that you are irrespective of even your existence. If you don't rely on memory, then throw everything out.
Thank you.
Um, but the fact that awareness is unchanging, the absolute is unchanging, that is something we take by trusting the Guru's word, or by belief, or that is not something that we can inquire into.
That is what the inquiry is actually.
But I cannot inquire into the ever unchangingness of awareness.
Yes, I know what you also
I'm
saying.
I'm
But
following
what
all
I mean to tell you is
yeah.
that if you didn't believe it, if you didn't believe my words for it, that it is unchanging, you see? Let's look at it this way. The sage must be speaking from his own experience, otherwise he would not say it, you see? All the sages throughout centuries, in all the Upanishads, all the Gitas, they have said the self, this awareness is unchanging. Now, we have to give it to them that they had so much integrity that they were speaking from their experience. And if they can have the experience of it, what are they saying? We are the same. You see? So why consciousness in that aspect which is playing as Itamar, why it cannot have the same experience? Now whether which pointer, whether it is inquiry or just openness, which comes to this seeing, you see, that is irrespective. But when I ask you, are you aware now? This is an inquiry, you see. What do you find?
Yes, I'm following all this, and I also have this sense or this knowing
Yeah.
that is with me, that it is unchanging. But
Yeah.
of all this chain of inquiry,
Yeah.
where we keep on checking what is inferred,
Yeah.
what is actually,
Yeah.
this is the only one that
Yeah.
is
But
basically
I've
based on trust.
often said that my samurai sword is, are you aware now? If you check this attributeless unchanging is apparent. You don't have to wait for even the mind to certify it.
Yeah, I'm referring to the fact that we are talking about awareness being unchanging or absolute, and this
Yes.
is based on trust.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. When you look at this, when you use this tool, like, okay, let's use another tool. Who is aware of awareness? Then what is your discovery? Are you discovering something which is changing or unchanging? It's good enough. It's good enough. So till then, don't believe me. When I say it is unchanging, just look at it as only an invitation to check for yourself. You see? And every time you hear from anyone's mouth, anyone that you feel is speaking from the truth, then when they say that the self is unchanging, you look at it not as a belief that you have to pick up, but as an invitation to check for yourself. Yes. 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 You have to use the mic. Yes, sorry, because there are many people watching online also. If you want to come up,
So I said I'm not sure if I'm getting the question itself. The are you aware?
yes,
Like it's kind of clear. What is this? Are we aware of the table? Yes. Or are you? Do you exist? I can say yes. So and
good,
are you aware? Kind of is empty
good,
empty for me. I don't know.
good, good, good. This is good. So let's start there. When I say, are you hearing this voice? Are you hearing this voice? You will say yes.
Yes.
Because you know what hearing is and voice is. Isn't it? Slowly, we can go slowly.
Yeah, maybe
Yes.
I don't
Okay,
go
let's start.
into the details. I'm just okay.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
So when I say, are you seeing this body in front of you?
Mhm.
You say yes because you see that you're seeing. If I say, are you hearing this body in front of you?
Mhm.
Okay, let's say, are you hearing this photo frame? Because you know what hearing is, and you see that you are seeing it, your sight with sight, and you're not hearing it. You see?
Mhm.
So you have to know both sides of the equation, which is what is hearing and what is being heard. Same way, what is sight and what is being seen. You see? If you had no idea what hearing was, and I say, are you, let's invent some word. Are you jumpificating a body in front of you? You see, you don't know what jumpificating is, so I am not jumping. You see?
Yes.
Now, when I say, are you aware of something? You say, I am aware only because of the of what is being perceived.
Yes. Yes.
You see? But if I was saying, are you jumpificating this tissue box?
No
You
mind.
see? You see? No.
No, no.
You see? But are you aware of this tissue box?
Yes.
Yes. Therefore, you must know what aware is. Just like you know what sight is, what hearing is, and you don't know what jumpificating is.
Like you are referring to some feeling of the awareness.
You have to tell me what it refers to. You can go very slowly. So when you say I am aware of my existence, what are you referring to as aware?
It's kind of just just some knowing,
Yes.
just some um, just just something is in front. It's just something is here, and I can say I know it, but even later than it happens.
Yes. So for now we can work with that. So it is a knowingness or a knowing. Is it? Now, is this knowing dependent on anything at all for itself? Is it coming and going? Is it changing in any way? I lost you somewhere?
Not yet.
Okay, good. So you tell me when. You say, very nice actually, because you say it is just a kind of a knowing, is it? So this knowing, what is the distance of this knowing from you?
Uh, looks like sometimes something is outside of it. There's something trying to be inside of it, but that's why it is outside.
So when
But
we
it's not always like that.
Yes,
Sometimes
yes.
it's just kind of blank or something.
Yes. So let's take the most primal appearance, like you said, a knowing of existence itself, or I am aware of my existence. So this awareness, what is its distance from you? That which knows existence also. Where are you in relation to that? We'll worry about that, whether existence is outside or it or inside it a little later.
I must be somehow together with it, otherwise.
Yes, but this, when we say must be, it means it's an inference. I am more interested in your insight. What do you find when you look?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. I'm saying that when we say must be or should be or can be, you see, that means we are using mind to come up with an inference. We have a concept of how it should be. Therefore, it could be the truth. I am more interested in what you're finding when you're looking for yourself without making any mental conclusion. So the question was this I, what is the distance between this I and that which knows your existence?
They are a little bit separate.
Yes. How much?
Just as much, just enough to say that they're separate. So I can see it like.
Okay, good. So whatever that you could be seeing, is it? Then don't be concerned about that. This I, what are the qualities or attributes of this that sees even that?
This is another depth.
Yes. Now you don't have to worry about any answers. Yeah, I got it. He said, what do you mean by quality or attribute? Like phenomenal objects. What is the color of this? Can you see from there?
Blue.
Huh?
Blue.
Blue. Quality or attribute. Now, what is the size of this roughly?
Yeah, there are instruments to measure it. I can measure it and say it.
Some centimeters, some inches. You see? What else? You can say there's a part of it which is transparent, a part of it which is opaque. All these are various qualities. Now, when we are inquiring into the nature of I, the self, what can we say about any of these qualities? Size, shape, color, transparency, opacity.
You asked the color, I told the color.
Now we are talking about I. Huh?
I can see you sitting.
Yes. The one that sees me sitting, what is the color of that one?
You're wearing white clothes.
The one that sees me sitting, what is the color of that one?
One that sees.
Sees me sitting. You say, I see you sitting. What is the color of that one that sees?
Yeah, then I have to go to my institution to say what color it is.
First, you have to go to that one that sees. You see? Unless you went to the glasses, you could not see what color it is. So first you have to go to that which sees all things. What is that one?
Once again.
Huh?
Once again.
That one that sees all things. What can we say about that one?
Yeah, that's aware. The aware and the awareness. The I and the am.
Yes. So this awareness, does it have any, like we said for the glasses, does it have any attributes, any qualities?
Yeah. When you say aware of what, I can say what.
Yeah, of the off, of course. But it itself,
Yourself.
hmm?
It itself and it is self.
Yeah. It itself is the self. Yeah.
So the baby knows only the self.
Hmm?
And the child knows only the self.
Yes. And yet all its perceptual knowing is continuing to function. Even prior to conceptual knowing, the play of perception has begun for the baby. But it is not yet making any distinction. So there is only the self. That's why we say there is only the self.
So that is the blankness to be created as a child.
Yes, conceptual. It's like a beautiful non-conceptual state.
So that's what we like a child.
So when we cease to make distinctions, when we are in our simple notionless existence, we are like the children. There's a you we're at 12:04. What is our deadline? I know, but what is our deadline? Our deadline cannot be water. There's a qualitative difference between time and water. What is it? 12 was our deadline. So who's really burning? One is really burning. Okay, we'll try to go quickly. Let's say first, and then we go to.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said that just find out the difference between the awareness and I.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like awareness is not perceivable, and nor is I perceivable. So in that sense, I was just thinking that it needs to be an inference.
Yes, but what is your insight telling you? I didn't say the answer has to be difference is equal this much, or it has to be no difference. When you check, you see that which is aware of even this awareness, is it distinct from awareness? Is there a difference between it and awareness? You see what I'm saying? So you can say, I am aware of my existence. You see? And I am saying, is there a distinction between this I and this aware? It's beautiful, no?
I probably missed that point.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's just continuing what you just said. When you earlier said I am, some obsessive thought came to me and it doesn't leave me, that am is somehow, it's just I, there is no am. And when you said self-awareness, also there is no awareness, there is just self.
Sometimes it is the words which could seem to be causing some trouble. There is just the self. But even to say there is just the self, it needs to be aware of itself. No? Otherwise, it's just an idea. So, is it just an idea or is it an insight? There is just the self. Now, we cannot know it as a concept. There is just a self. It's as useless as any other concept. You see? I say often that if we have the notion I am a person, and then we pick up the notion I am the self, both are just as painful. In fact, just the idea I am the self could be even more suffering. You see? So, this report, I am the self, must come from a deeper insight about yourself. You see? When we say, who am I? And we find, I am this. Whether we say self, whether we say Brahman, whether we say awareness, we see that it is empty of all phenomenal qualities. Yet, the knowingness, the awareness, the primal witnessing does not go anywhere. It just is. So we can say that this awareness is the essence of the self, or we can say that it is the self itself. It doesn't make so much difference. Whether we say awareness is the essence of the self, or we say that it is the self itself, the pointer still works either way. Did I lose you somewhere?
Yeah, they are just different words of the one.
So this is very beautiful because all these words that we are using in satsang also are thorns. We're using thorns to remove other thorns, and then all the thorns are thrown away, including these. Don't have to, as you already dropping all distinctions, all words, nothing is needed. But there are some who have some conditioning about some words, so we have to use some words to remove them. Thank you all so much for being in satsang this morning. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki Jai. Do we have some announcements?